This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Well, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday, February 6th, 2026. I'll be honest. This morning, I did not want to be here. Well, not here at Fireside, just life in general. I feel like, um, I feel like I have personally been experiencing a lot of different kinds of loss, but I feel like this week, as a collective, with everything that is being released and things that we're absorbing, um, it has sent me into lots of sobbing, into lots of crying, lots of grief. And it doesn't feel lost on me that I'm going through personal grief inside of that collective grief and rippling out. I think sometimes for me, um, I don't know, it keeps me soft, in a good way, softer and a little more present, even though during times of great transition or grief, it can feel really compelling to want to disappear. And for some of us, that's a conversation I was having this morning with a dear friend who I'm actually going to be talking about quite a bit today. Um, you know, for some of us, some of the things that are coming out right now, for the American people, it's not a surprise. Um, for the last 2 or 3 years, I feel like, and I have a relationship with Serge, and he would tell you he's a conspiracy theorist, although that's really not a great thing to call him. But what most society has deemed conspiracy theory, and I think what's happening right now in this disclosure that's happening in our country is a lot of things that I think even if we didn't have language for, it's given form. Some of this evil, some of these feelings of things just aren't quite right. It's not quite right. Our system isn't quite right. Not just system, our systems are not quite right. And it's challenging to live in a system sometimes too. Most of us here listening are women. Um, and I think even uncovering and discovering our own victimhood inside of some of these stories, recognizing that we have been victims inside of the institutions that we have led and fostered, and been part of, is challenging because a lot of you who listen here too are going through um, a transition in your faith as well, in your spirituality. So a lot of the grief that's happening too is recognizing that a lot of the things that we used to orient our life around was almost like a compass. These are things that grounded us, that kept us center, that we held as regular, normal. And a lot of those things are being, that foundation is shifting. It feels like we keep losing our equilibrium as more of these truths are revealed, and we have to look at some of the evil in the face that maybe we have known under it. And even if you have come from a place of um, spirituality that has taught you there is good and evil, there is a difference, I think, in knowing something, right? And then experiencing and confronting that something. And the same friend was talking about how it's almost like, because she is not a stranger to some of these truths that are being revealed either, things that we've been hearing about. And for a couple years, if you've been in the conspiracy theory realm, these things that how power is built so much on sacrifice. And at least that is the way that much of the systems that govern our lives have been built upon. And again, we could hear the words, but we might not be able to understand it in our entire being until we are here at this moment where we see the evidence, we have pictures, we're being confronted with with those feelings coming to life. And what she likened it to was almost like you're in a relationship and you have this feeling that you're being cheated on and you kind of know it. But then when it comes to light, it's the brokenness, the grief of being right is challenging. And there are going to be periods and seasons where you need to withdraw and you need to tend your own heart and you need to ball up inside of a cocoon. And I was tempted to do that this morning. And then we were texting. And honestly, one of the reasons I didn't want to come here is I was like, I'm tired of being such a downer. I'm tired of feeling so heavy in the grief. But I was reminded that we are grieving together. We are grieving together. And it's okay to want to crawl into a cocoon and to hibernate and to protect your family and your children. And those are normal responses to threats. Um, and also, I think where I've been this week too with some of that grief is just again this hunger and desire for a different way, for a different way forward. And the other thing, I feel like what today's fireside is around mostly is around, yes, acknowledging that grief, acknowledging that life as we know it, as we have organized it around, um, even in some ways feeling like I can just speak for myself. Even growing up inside of the evangelical church, this is just an example to be able to try to articulate what I am trying to find the words for. I grew up in a Southern Baptist evangelical church, and a lot of mission work happens that way, where they go to other countries to bring resources, health education, but also as a bridge to be able to share their beliefs. And I used to feel like that was a vehicle for good. But the more that I have understood that a transactional relationship where I come in to bring you something, but to replace it with something else, like in hopes to get you somewhere that I want you to be, that's not love. And like I think there's a difference in wanting to intentionally love and steward um and be love and light in spaces, but I think the agenda of the evangelical movement, at least to me, does not feel genuine, in the sense of like I don't need you to believe anything for me to just love you. Like I don't have an agenda in that. And I think I think so much too of what we're going to continue seeing. This will not be the end of what we see inside of these systems that are so corrupt, that have been built around blackmail and sexual slavery. Let's call that what it is, because it is. Um, all of these things are not isolated, and it's only going to get worse as far as what we will hear and see. At least that's what I think. And I think this is, there is a gift in knowing, because sometimes we really have to see it in order to move in a different direction. The illustration earlier too about um like being in a relationship where you sense something's off. I don't think they're being faithful. And then when you discover that your instinct was correct, and you have the evidence that your spirit may be needed to make a different choice, I think that's the invitation here too. Yes, you need to take care of yourself, tend yourself, but also recognizing that this time period that we live inside of exists in a span of time. Like we are existing in such a finite point right now, but to remember that evil is not new, um, it doesn't make it less painful. But to know that there has always been evil and good, like trying to reconcile itself. And in some ways, for me, because that's the only thing I can actually call what we're seeing. Is it is depraved, it is devoid of love, it is devoid of honor. And these things too, I wonder, like, how could you do those things to another living being or soul? But then also, so many of our systems, I think, are built around this almost pillaging, this idea of transactional relationship. We see this also with how we steward the earth or don't, how we respect animals or don't. All of these things that I think many of you in this space crave a different um, reverence, a different connection, a deeper relationship, and honoring. Part of how we're going to get there is through the contractions that we're in right now. And it is part of, again, us being able to break those systems, break ties with them, and say, no more, no more. We don't want any more of this. And how each of us does that right now, I think, is still to come back into our sphere of influence, tend your fire, stay connected to people who ground you, who also are walking through this, um, who love you and who want to see some of those same changes that you crave in the spaces that you lead and lend your voice to. And then also to remember, again, I think I referenced this last week, but to recognize that we also live as part of nature and energy. And again, we exist inside of generations. And I think there is support for us in recognizing that we can go out into nature, into family, into those beings that have been here longer than we have, and also bring our grief for what is happening at this time because they grieve too. But they also hold us too. I still think of the trees, the wise standing ones who have been here long before us and who will probably, a lot of them, be here longer than we are here in this lifetime too. And there's something to be said. I was finding myself too. This is also the end of the month will be my dad's birthday. We lost Peaches. We lost a dear family friend at the end of January. Um, and it has just been, what is that movie title? One battle after another. Not a battle, but it has felt like boom, boom, boom. And I have so many of you who listen and in this space who I know what you're also walking through. And one battle, one hit after the other. Um, but recognizing too that we don't have to stay down on the mat. We don't have to take the blow and stay there. And sometimes we need the recovery. We need that hibernation. We need the rest. So, really understanding that you may be in a season where it doesn't feel really good right now. That's okay. I think we're all feeling a level of that. I'm grateful for the sunshine this morning. That's another piece of nature, recognizing the rhythms and the seasons and knowing too that spring is coming. That has helped anchor me a little bit too. Thinking about some of the green coming back. Green is my favorite color, in case you couldn't tell. But I love green and I'm looking forward to that. That feels like an embrace all in its own. I've tried to bring that in a little bit, decorating like a wreath on our door, finding small ways to also bring in um, moments where I can bring warmth into my environment that encourage me, even if they're small. I have this little unicorn on my dashboard because I got this pack of like Valentine unicorns that I gave out to a few friends. And I'm calling her my security detail. She sits on my dash. And so I see her every time I'm driving. Even small glimmers right now are really helpful and they feel like tethers to what I want to see more of, which is hope. It is that, and I think that hope is always there for us. I do believe that again, if we look at the time that we're inside of, and I believe that we're part of an intentional time that we chose to be here, that we are collectively here in this moment to foster the future forward, and that means different kinds of thinking. It means different ways of being. And it's okay if you're feeling like you don't know what step to take right now. That's all right. Maybe it's just intending your own flame, and that will help lead you to that clarity. I think so often, too, what has been true for me and for so many of those that I have mentored and coached is that so often we've been taught to have a plan before we execute on something. And so we always feel like, well, I don't have the plan, so I can't execute. And it's like we're solving for the end of something that we haven't even reconciled here first. And so I think the invitation too is to move from a place that feels honoring to you, that feels honoring to the stewardship of the gifts that you're here to bring, of the light that you're here to be, and also to be that to one another. Even in that exchange this morning with that same friend, um, she has had a baby recently. And I've started adding songs for us each week. And this morning I was like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. This is how so I don't even know. I don't even know what it's going to be today. And after our text exchange and we're starting to talk to her, I went into my Spotify playlist and I was scanning playlists. And I found one that I had made for her in her second delivery. And a lot of those songs were just about really grounding you around trying to feel like a heart hug, and be hope and synergy. And so I found the song that we needed. Actually, it was the first one that came on. Today's song is called Breathe. And I can't remember his name. I think it's Peter Cads. It'll be linked in the show notes. I'm not going to read those lyrics to you today, but that is our song. And it is just part of it is just keep breathing now. Just keep breathing now. Come back to your breath. Come back to your center. And it's okay too if we're gasping for air because we're sobbing. Like there have been twice this week, I think I've been in the shower and I've had to pull over driving just because there has been so much grief. Not all of it's mine. I'm experiencing it for the collective, and I know this. And I also feel like I am about to start my period. And over the last 5 or 6 months, because I've rebalanced my hormones, so they've changed. I have this huge plummet. Maybe you guys know this, but I have this huge plummet right before I start where everything feels like the world is going to end and I'm so sad. So some of that is hormonal, but some of it also, again, is in this contraction that we're experiencing together in this space. And so I can't tell you what to do with how you're feeling. But I can say that the more that I have made space for my own feelings, even when they're uncomfortable, even when I don't enjoy them, even when they're so intense, the best way, like for me to transmute some of that has been to feel it, has been to express it, has been to allow it, even though it's not necessarily what I want. It's not fun in the sense of it takes something. It takes something to feel them. It takes something to express them. I heard once that the opposite of expression is depression. And I think that's probably true because when we hold things here and it's like we're stewing on it almost. And sometimes, well, a lot of times we need to move it through instead of to hold it in the same attitude. So, some exercises too that you could do, just journaling, stream of thought, stream of consciousness. I have not had a lot of language this week for what I've been experiencing. And so even I've sent a few Voxers to a friend where I could just dump. I did it with Search. Um, Again, just trying to not extract, but to give language or have room for these big feelings that I'm having, and to be able to express those. And it has helped, along with tears. Tears are so good for us. I used to tell people that all the time that crying was good for you, but I didn't have the science for why. And I do now. When your body is processing stress, fear, it actually sends those hormones through your liver to process them. And when you what so it is a process through your body. But when you cry, you actually release those whole. So it's literally taking stress off of your body to process them. So tears are a vehicle of transmutation in themselves. And if you want to see something really cool, you should look up what tears look like under a microscope. Because if we look at water, water has memory, and that's a whole other beautiful thing to explore. And I think that's the other thing too, is finding beautiful things. Like this morning, even enjoying the sun coming in the window, finding these moments where we can really be in deep gratitude for just being alive, even though it's heavy, because you are here for such a time as this. You are here for this moment. You are here to love and lead in a confusing span. And it's okay if you feel confused. It's okay if you don't know the way forward. It's okay if you don't feel like you have the answers. For most of us, we don't even really need those things. We just need to take the next step that's right in front of us, the next breath that we could have, and slowing that down. I am no stranger to grief, as you know. Um, but that has been helpful to just even break it down to I don't know what tomorrow might bring. I don't know what next week looks like, because there's a lot of overwhelm too around long extended plans. Again, when so much of our lives and that compass has lost, it feels like we've lost that direction. But I think we come back again. Where is our true compass? Where does that actually lie? And I think there's a gift there too, because in these fractured systems, in these fractured ways of being, in these systems that are breaking apart, there is space for that renewal that we crave, for us to bring in the solutions that we crave, that some of us have clarity on, that we want to bring, and for others of us who are trying to discern what it looks like to move in this moment. That's also a gift in of itself. How can we love and lead at the capacity that we crave, which is in love. It is in with no agenda, with truly wanting to take care of people well, not for power, not for status, not for hierarchy, but because we love people and we want to see them thrive. We want to take care of children. We want to honor women's knowing. We want to create different kind of initiatives that take care of those of us who are in food insecurity. So many things in so many ways. And also, I was reminded this morning too that one of my first firesides was look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. Notice in your community where people are responding, where they are taking action in ways that feel good and aligned for you, and you can join those efforts. It's also not all on your shoulders. It's not all on us to fix or to save, but instead to be part of a bigger whole. So look for the helpers, look for those lights, the light streaming through the clouds when it looks so dark. Where can you also find places where you find people who want things to shift or change in similar ways that you're feeling? Those um, those are great places to be. So being in nature, expressing how you're feeling, finding safe ways to do that, um, and even safe places to share that. So I've mentioned too, I've been sharing with my friends, my partner, just some of that deep heaviness, and then also recognizing that we belong to a greater timeline, one that we can't see past this moment, and one that existed before this life that we're in today, and one that will continue beyond the life that we live now. And again, I think what has helped ground me or bring me back to center, make life feel less overwhelming, is to remember like a lot of those feelings of, I have to save it, I have to do it, I have to, whatever that is sensational, like heroic, whatever. Parts of that are for me, and other parts are there, I think, to overwhelm, because we can't do this alone. We do this together. We always have. We're interdependent, we're interconnected, and we need one another. So look for the helpers, get in nature, and I have noticed myself It's time for me to take a little step back from social media. I've got to rein in some of that influence on me and around me because having so much of that constantly entering my mind and my body is not actually helpful for grounding me and for helping me feel like I have clarity on what comes next. And so I'm going to figure out what that means for me. I know that that same friend I talked to this morning, she is deleted her social media right now across all the board. Not left, but she's just taken it off her phone. She would have to go and access it, I think, if she would go to like, this is what I've done before too. I probably will do with Facebook. I share more because I'm on there more, is just deleting the app on my phone. And the only way I can go in there is to go into a browser and type it in. And that in itself, because I think sometimes we also live in patterns and we don't even recognize how much we're reaching for something, how much we just spend time hanging out in these spaces that we're just scrolling, the doom scroll, right? Um, and in some ways, too, part of that has become a habit because I am seeking that numbing. And I don't really want to numb in that way. I really want to be mindful and present and enjoying my life in the grief and in the joy. And remember last week, too, that joy is rebellion. And I think that that is also there for us too. Even in times of great sadness, there is still great joy. There is still light to be had. There is warmth. There is connection. There is something greater for us in the moment beyond what we're experiencing sometimes too. And I think another thing I want to say about grief is that a lot of times people say that it gets better with time. And I think the way that I used to think about that was that it meant like it would lessen. That really hasn't been true for me. Yes, it's lessened in the intensity and the frequency, but my grief sometimes is still really intense. What I think for me, I've just had to learn how to hold grief and also hold my life, whatever that looks like. Um, and I think that is something that we're navigating here as a society and a culture right now. And I do think that it's going to be okay. I think that we are going to find a way forward together beyond the moments right now. I don't have a map. And none of us really do. We're making the maps as we go. We're all map makers. And so we're making this map together. How we proceed forward is a collective response. It is never one person, it is never one group. It is a collective, and you are a vital part of that. So, again, tend your flame, be in nature, take care of you. Know that your grief is also sacred, the contraction is also for you, and that I believe that you can trust that you are loved and held, and you will have the wisdom and the answers that you need as you need them. And you can seek them out as well and ask for them. This morning, I was asking for that too from my own guides and ancestors. How do we navigate this space that we're in when we are feeling so heavy? And these are the answers I feel like I've received and I'm living out with you. I did pull a card for us today. So today, this is from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle, and we've got Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. The message, stay alert, change is in the air. About the spirit fox features my favorite animal of all time, the red fox, an amazingly resilient creature able to survive in urban environments or the freezing temperatures of the Arctic. Foxes know what it's like to be hunted. For centuries, they have been sought for their precious fur when all they want is to survive. So the spirit fox can help you overcome the energies of adversity and unfair treatment. Also, as urban foxes hide in cities and go about their business in the darker hours, the fox offers the medicine of blending in. Extended message of the card. The energies around you are changing at this time, and although it may not always be comfortable, you are equipped with all that you need to survive the shift. You are being presented with opportunities to reach spaces you've never encountered before, and this can make you feel on edge. But be open to the shifts occurring because they really are the answers to your prayers. The experience of being hunted or threatened is now behind you, and you are being invited to come out from your den and reveal your glory and talents. Call upon Spirit Fox Medicine to help you be seen for who you are and trust in your talents in order to be the best you can be in these changing times. What stood out to me too as I started to read this is that where is the language here? Because I liked it. Foxes know what it's like to be hunted. For centuries, they have been sought for their precious fur when all they want is to survive. So this energy helps you overcome the energies of adversity and unfair treatment. I think that's one of the things too. Again, the reminder is that this time and space is very finite. We're experiencing it, and that is valid. But knowing that there is a greater cosmic order of things beyond even this moment, and that we may not know the answers, we're going to trust our talents and our instincts as the times change, and knowing that we have what we need in order to go through them and to transmute them together. So I'm sending you so much love, and I'm walking with you through this time. We are here together, and I'm grateful. I'll see you next week.